Ladies and gentlemen, this is Don Labonte. We're now in our 7th hour of studying the conversation patterns. This particular snapshot of the patterns that we'll study this hour is found under I Make Him in the files in the teacher's guide. You can either print this out, give it to the students, once again put it up on a blackboard, have them transcribe it. Once again, they're going to keep this in their 3-ring binder. The focus, the first 15 minutes of the class, is to review patterns already learned in the first 6 hours. Basically using the simple format of having the past, present, and future. Past, present, future. And the questions, both positive and negative. And we are basically weaving in and out of these different tenses, positive and negative, in the different patterns to see how well the student is able to either mimic the question, answer the question, or you make the sentence and they make the question out of the sentence. Some people may say to you, well, if somebody says to you, have you got to go, many native speakers will just answer simply yes or no, and that's correct, they do. But they do it out of a strength. They know, they're very familiar with the language. For students who are beginning, I always make them answer with a full sentence or make a full question. That way I know that they're not making mistakes. They've come to my class in order for me to test their abilities, to give them a methodology, to focus on that methodology and bring them on this rather quick journey through conversation patterns. As you begin teaching these patterns, you may find that whether you're teaching one student or a group of 2 or 3 students, you may have the situation where a new student wants to come in midway. At this point, there's no way to catch the train with the other students. We're on our journey. If anybody tries to jump on the train at this time, it's too late. We haven't. They're not sort of indoctrinated into the methodology that we're using, making questions, making sentences, what patterns we've studied. So you'll just frustrate the other students that you've been teaching if you have to permit somebody else to come into the class at any point during this process. I tell them just to wait. We'll start anew with another group. You can start at that time. But jumping on even this early in the process is just going to frustrate you with teaching things that you've already taught, frustrate the students who have already learned these things to listen to it again. By now you are probably accustomed to the format here. These are simply questions relating to the patterns that can be used. These are in the teacher's guide, which you could print out. Now, what is the reason I study these 5 patterns together? The basic reason is that when I began teaching about 35 years ago in Korea, I found that a pattern that they had, this is the pattern, had all of these different feelings could be used with the same pattern. And that sort of fascinated me. I knew in English that there were different nuances that with our patterns, but their pattern can hold a variety of different nuances. So that is the reason why I study these 5 patterns together. You can use the same verb here, and you can feel when I say it the differences in the pattern. I make him study, I let him study. I asked him to study, I helped him study, and I stopped him from studying. 5 completely different feelings. The top one here, basically the feeling is one of being forced to do something. I made him do it. The second one I tell the students is the feeling is one of permission. I let her go, I let my daughter drive the car. The third in the series here, I asked him to, is when you ask in a favor. You know, I asked them to clean the house. I had them clean the house. I got her to clean the house. Implies asking them to do a favor. The fourth one is self-explanatory, is when you help them do something. You know, I help him speak English. I don't make them speak English. I don't let them speak English. I don't ask them to speak English. I help them, the students I'm helping them, to speak English. The fifth pattern, last but not least, is I stop him. And this is when you don't let somebody do something. You don't let it happen. You know, I stopped him from driving the car. I kept her from talking to him. So these different feelings in conversation relate to the patterns on the left here. Fortunately, all the patterns in the question form, in the positive, it's do, did, will, and in the negative, don't, didn't, and won't are used. So during the hour period, what you're doing is just working through the 5 patterns. You'll have time at the end. Once again, we do have some of those exercises in the teacher's guide with the how to apologize, how to make a suggestion, how to say you're sorry, how to say no. You can add a couple of these to their learning plan for this particular hour. Be sure to incorporate some questions using the what, where, why, when, who, and how. You know, where did he let you go? When did you help her to study? Who stopped him from smoking? These can also be used to help the student begin to answer questions. So that basically completes the lesson plan that I would have for the 7th hour with the students.